Okay, webinar is started.
Alrighty.
Recording and kick off the meeting. Are you all still seeing the screen okay? Okay, perfect. Thank you again for your patience. All right, so here is a brief agenda today. I'm kind of going to give you an overview and then hand it off to our esteemed co-chair, Michelle Dumais. Before I do that, I'll walk you through what we're going to talk about. So we'll have our standing agenda items, providing that welcome, introductions, updates, a moment to kind of acknowledge our uncertainty in today's world. We'll then talk about some proposed amendments to our bylaws for you all to consider and vote on, followed by a break at 2. And then we'll just have some time and space to finish conversation from last month's meeting regarding service needs and gaps for Denver's community of people who speak Spanish and have IDD. We did not have any one submit a public comment for this month, so we can then move right into discussing our plans for the next few meetings. Any questions on our schedule coming up? Yes, Michelle.
Just a really quick question. Did we have to put a timestamp, an official timestamp to when we began the meeting? I forgot.
Absolutely. I was actually going to just ask Michelle if you wouldn't mind facilitating calling a vote to call the meeting into session.
Well, I'd like to say, since we're all here and the party is ready to get started, can we officially begin this meeting? If someone would, do I need a second for that, or can I just, as the chair, say, the co-chair, say, hey, we're starting this party?
I think unofficially, Michelle, you can start any party. Officially, I think you may need to request one of your council members to motion to call the meeting to the second and then have someone else second.
If some of our wonderful members would do the honor of suggesting that we start the meeting, I'd ask for that motion.
I, Alicia Cooper, motion to start the meeting.
And if we can get a second?
This is Jessica. I second.
She seconds that emotion. Okay, so we'll say that we began at 1:05.
Wonderful. Thanks
Thank
so
you,
much,
ladies.
Michelle. Okay, so for those of you who are new to this meeting space, joining as a guest, welcome. So happy to have you. The IDEAS program stands for Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, Equitable Access to Services. And we partner with you all, the community, to manage local taxpayer dollars dedicated to Denver residents with intellectual and developmental disabilities and developmental delay. We strive to make Denver an inclusive community where people with IDD feel welcomed and valued and empowered to live the lives they envision for themselves. All righty. And the Advisory Council, the purpose of this meeting today is to get together an appointed group of amazing Denver residents with lived experience with IDD who work in the field or have a loved one with IDD. This group meets about monthly and offers guidance to Denver Human Services on how to use the funds to meet the wants and needs of Denverites with IDD. A few ground rules before we get started. Please remain muted. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand in real life or virtually, then unmute to speak. Please introduce yourself when you speak. And please do stay on topic and consider if the point you're having to make speaks for the benefit of everyone in Denver who have IDD versus perhaps something that you may personally just be very excited about or have a personal stake in. Please remain safe during meetings. And if you need to, please leave and rejoin when you're able. Please remember to respect and honor the Denver Code of Ethics. Remember, it's okay if you may have a conflict of interest, although if you do think that you have a conflict of interest regarding a scheduled agenda item, please go ahead, raise your hand virtually in person. Let us know that you have a conflict of interest for the record. Leave the meeting. And as soon as we wrap up that conversation, me or one of my teammates will get in touch with you so you can join back on. And friendly reminder, we do not permit AI or any third-party accounts without prior approval. Finally, friendly reminder, all these meetings are public and recorded, including your chat, so please don't say or type anything that you don't want to be included on the public record. And please remember to vote in the chat. Go ahead and change when you go into the chat and go to create a message, go ahead and change from host to panelist to everyone so that we can make sure that all of our conversations are transparent and available to the public. We'll provide reminders if the happens to revert back to the host and panelist setting. And when you are called to vote, please go ahead and do so in the chat. All right. All right, and now just a reminder for interpretation. If you go down to the bottom of your screen, you should see a little globe-like symbol that says interpretation. If you need to hear something that is being spoken in Spanish and translated into English by your amazing interpreter, Yamila, please go ahead and click that button and toggle over to Spanish. And when that person is done speaking through the interpreter, you can toggle back to original audio to hear what's being said in English. All right, I do see we've got some chats over here. Perfect, looks like everyone's doing good. And I just realized that I failed to introduce myself after all of that. So I'll go ahead and offer an introduction of myself since I've just been talking your all's ear off for the past 10 minutes. My name is Michaela Hennig. My pronouns are she, her. I am a white woman in my late 30s. I've got long brown hair. I am wearing a headset sitting in my office with a blurred background, and I'm wearing a sport jacket with a little t-shirt underneath. Very happy to be here. And with that, I will kick it off to my friend, Michelle Dumais. Just one moment, and I will switch the slide.
All right, so this is Michelle Dumais. And we're going to do introduction. So the slide that's before us now simply is a reminder of what our introduction should be: short and sweet, your name, your pronouns, a visual description of yourself and your experience and or your affiliations, much the way Michaela did it, with perfection. So I'm going to actually go last, and I'm going to make mention that I put in the chat that one of our members, Julissa, is going to be joining us shortly. So I'm just going to go down my list here. Alicia, you are my friend in the hot seat first with your introduction, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alicia Cooper. My pronouns, although I don't use them, is she and her. I am a light-skinned Black woman, about 5'7". I have a midnight blue faded haircut with a little swivel on the left side. My eyes are brown. And I have on a white wrapped short sleeve shirt today for the warm weather that is outside. My experience and affiliations, I have a lived experience with helping take care of my brother who lives with TBI. I also am a veteran who lives with disabilities and PTSD. And I am the chair for Denver Commission for People with Disabilities.
Thank you. And Adriana.
Hola, soy Adriana de la Torre. Ah, hoy traigo una blusa gris. Soy morena clara. Soy hispana y, y tengo un hijo con Ah, soy líder comunitaria y me gusta aprender para poder ayudar mejor.
Mhm.
Gracias.
De nada. So now, Michaela, can you remind us, do we need to, at this time, switch, or will the translator be able to be heard without us doing any switching?
So if you had toggled down to Spanish earlier, you should have been able to hear Yamula.
Okay,
If you hadn't toggled, you wouldn't hear her.
okay, very good.
If you would like, was there anyone that wasn't able to hear Adriana's introduction through the interpreter? Jessica? Okay, Jessica. And I'll just ask because we're getting used to this. Adriana, would you mind introducing yourself once more? And that way we can make sure that Jessica has the benefit of hearing your introduction.
This is Jessica. I'm not sure where to go to
Sí.
the chain to access it.
Mm. Okay, let's see. That is a really great point, Jessica. And is there anywhere on the Zoom interface that
You
will
can
read
check
you?
in the more, click the more on the right hand side. There's
Okay.
3 dots, and then you can see interpretation and
Okay.
then click Spanish
Okay.
and then done.
Okay. Thank you.
Jessica, give me a thumbs up if that's working for you or not. Jessica, were you able to locate that?
Do I click Spanish if I want to hear Spanish to English?
That's correct, yes. So
Okay.
go ahead and click Spanish and then we'll ask Adriana if she doesn't mind providing her
Okay.
introduction one more time.
Okay.
Okay,
Gracias.
Sí,
all right.
soy Adriana de la Torre. Vivo en Denver. Soy una líder comunitaria. Tengo un hijo con una discapacidad que es trisomía 21. Estoy aquí porque me gusta aprender para adquirir nuevos conocimientos y apoyar mejor a la comunidad, en especial a la comunidad con discapacidad. Hoy traigo una blusa gris. Mi tez es morena clara. Y soy hispana. Gracias.
So again, thank you, Adriana. Next, let me see, because I can't see all the names. I'm looking for, yes, Alexa. Jump in the hot seat, girl.
Hi, everyone. This is Alexa Gagne. I am part of the IDEAS Council, and I'm actually with my lovely daughter, Colette. I think my camera's on, who has Down syndrome. So that's part of why I serve on this group, and I am a white woman. I am 43, dark brown hair, and we are at the park because Colette couldn't go to school today. And so we're pivoting, and thanks for being patient with my camera off today. But I think that was everything, and thanks so much.
Thank you. Stephanie, let me see. I can't see all of the people, so bear with me. I don't see Stephanie here, so let's give her a minute to come in. And let's go on to Seth.
Hello, my name is Seth Grove. I'm a voting council member. My pronouns are he, his. I'm a white male in my early 40s. I'm wearing a green shirt, and I'm an adult advocate here at Advocacy Denver.
Thank you, Seth. Good to see you, brother. Molly.
Good afternoon. Hi, my name is Molly Mason. I use she, her pronouns. I am a white woman with light to dark brown hair. I am working from home today, which is very exciting for me. I have a green t-shirt on and a dark gray hoodie because it's still kind of cold, but I'm also in the sunshine. I am a special education teacher in Denver Public Schools in the 18 to 21 transition program. And I am a very proud member of the IDEAS Council and also the Rocky Mountain Human Services Community Advisory Council liaison with our IDEAS Council. And I'm very glad to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you, Molly. I see next on my list is Chris. Chris is not here also, so we'll let him come in and he can join us. Jessica, my dear.
Hi, this is Jessica. I'm hearing both when they did the translation from Spanish to English, but I'm also hearing the English to Spanish translation.
Jessica, this is Michaela. I'll jump in, and thank you so much for letting us know what your experience is. This is new technology for us all. So thanks for being brave and speaking up. So it sounds like if you go to that button at the bottom that Alicia was mentioning, go ahead and click more, go to interpretation, and then click on English. Try that and see if that's better.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Awesome.
My name is Jessica Reichel, and I live in Denver, and I am a member of the IDD community, and I receive services from the waiver programs related to that. Thank you.
Perfect. So let me just check once again. This is Michelle speaking. I am just looking to see if our other voting members, Chris or Halisa or Stephanie, came in. It appears as if they did not, so I'll finish up the introductions. I am Michelle Dumais. I am the co-chair. You people elected me to be co-chair some time ago. I don't know why. You'll it's a joy to serve, and I serve because I raise my daughter's voice in places and spaces that she might not have access to try to bring about equity in places and spaces for other persons in the IDD community. I am African American. I have made it to the glorious mid-50s. Nobody can tell me anything other than these are the glorious years. Today, I am wearing purple. As some folks will say, you got some other glasses on today. So I have on circle rim metallic glasses that are also purple. I happen to be Muslim, which means I have a blue headscarf on today. We always ask that people use their pronouns, and I think I'm supposed to say mine as she and her, but everybody that knows me, my favorite ones are me and my. So with that, we'll sort of conclude the introductions, and please do look over into the chat and you'll see that our esteemed colleagues, Lynn, Jordan, and Tom have aptly described themselves, and thank you so much. And let me just check one more time to make sure others didn't come in yet. Okay, so
Michelle, this is Michaela.
yes.
Would we like to invite Kisley to jump on too? I know Kisley's not a voting member, but would love to hear her voice.
You know what? You are so correct. We should let Kisley jump in here. Go ahead, Kisley.
I appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Kisley Blue. I am a non-voting member, but I'm here to represent Rocky Mountain Human Services. I've been with that organization for almost 10 years, but I'm currently serving as the program manager in Mill Levy. And today, I am working from my home office. I am a Black woman. I am wearing green with a little army fatigue. And yeah, I think I covered it. Thanks.
Thank you, Kisley. So I think the next thing we have keeping us moving, Michaela has on the screen that we're going to need to approve the minutes. So that means that we either need to ask for, were there any revisions? If there weren't any, then I'll need a motion to approve them, and then I'll need a second, and then we will vote in the chat affirmations, yay or nay.
I motion to approve without revisions.
And that was Seth, everyone.
Seth.
This is Alicia, a second.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Alicia, for the second. Thank you for the motion, Seth. Let's go to the chat and vote yay or nay. Or if you didn't read them, didn't get to them, you can, of course, abstain. So, Michaela, if you'll check my math, by simple majority, we would need to have, let me just count quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 members present, so we would need to have 4. I believe if I counted in the chat, we have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I believe we can consider those minutes from the last meeting approved.
That tracks for me.
Okay, yay. So now, Michaela, would you advance the slide? Because I have bad memory. Okay, so now we're going to the slide that's in front of us. Ask for any council member updates. We just say, hey, let's just keep it in Denver because, all the best things happen in Denver. So if we can hear about any brief updates that would benefit our Denver community members who are not joining us, but they might review this recording, that are in the IDD community or related to this community, we'd love to hear it. We just ask that in sharing that shameless plugs for your individual interests, we should avoid them. Although they're often very entertaining, we should just avoid them in this setting.
Michelle, this is Alicia. Is it okay to mention the community forum with the Denver Commission for People with Disability that's coming next weekend?
Absolutely.
Great. And I said it anyway and just realized what I did. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Alicia Cooper. As chair of Denver Commission for People with Disabilities, we formally invite you all to our community forum at the Blair Caldwell Research Library, October 11th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is an opportunity for the community to have their voices heard and speak to all, as many, excuse me, not all, but as many community leaders as possible so that we can better understand your needs and to better support you and to get you the resources that you and or your family may need. Um, I will provide the flyer in the chat a little later or a link for you to register. If you're unable to register, not to worry. I believe it also will be a hybrid situation. So if you can't meet in person, you also may register to and receive the Zoom link prior to the forum. But I hope to see a lot of you there.
Thank you, Alicia. And I'd just like to follow up for 30 seconds with that. This is an event that is super accessible down at a public library off of a main RTD route. Weather's supposed to be amazing. It would be great to see everyone there. Are there any other? I see Jessica raising her hand.
Hi, this is Jessica, and I apologize. I don't have information on how to attend or where it is, but tonight is the board meeting, I believe, for RTD to discuss proposals that they feel they need to make for the Access on Demand program, which is the same day service option that people with Access-a-Ride are eligible for. And there's several like considerations that they're looking at. So yeah, and I'm not sure how much public is allowed into the meeting or not, but I'm just aware that it's happening. So we should be hearing probably sometime in the next few weeks about what proposals they're gonna accept. But there's quite a few, like charging an initial for us for people on the service to possibly pay an initial fee. For another proposal is cutting the number of rides per month, and also cutting the amount that the voucher will cover, possibly down to $20 instead of $25. So there's quite a few different proposals that they're going to be considering. Thank you.
This is Michelle. Thank you, Jessica. I can follow up and I can tell you where and when. So
hi, this is Lynn
ahead, Lynn.
coming in as your little behind the scenes tech fairy. I have added to the chat the links for the RTD public meeting that Jessica was just talking about. Kisley added information about RMHS's upcoming community forums and registration, and both Alicia and I have added into the chat the information about the Denver Commission for People with Disabilities upcoming forum. So as people are talking, if you don't already have the links, I will work some magic and try to get those resources found and added into the chat as we go.
Thank you, Lynn, for your fairy greatness. And everyone else that's putting things into the chat. It's greatly appreciated. So do we have any other council member updates? Michaela.
I have a staff update if that's all right.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. This is Michaela speaking. Um, I would like to update you all that the IDEAS program has moved to a new division or team within Denver Human Services under the leadership of our new director, Whitney Nettleton. So I we're going to give the floor to Whitney in a bit to tell you all a little bit about this new division. But as many of you know, I started out working for DHS as an adult protective services caseworker, again, under Whitney's leadership, and have learned so much from her during this time. And really, Whitney is one of the most dedicated public servants that I've ever had the opportunity to work for. And so we're very excited to be part of this new division under her leadership. And so wanted to provide you that update, and then you can hear a little bit about what that division or team will do.
Thanks, Michaela, for the very kind reintroduction, I think. Yeah, I really appreciate your kind words. So I'm Whitney Nettleton. I have met most of you in either previous council meetings or other spaces, and always appreciate the opportunity to attend these meetings when I'm able to. We are over here at DHS undergoing some reorganization. We have made a lot of changes in light of some of the budget conversations that I'm sure many of you have been aware of going on here at the city. But that has really opened up an opportunity for us to look at how we align our programming and make changes that really help us center our community in the way that we deliver services. And so one of those changes is to create this new division. Our working title right now is the Aging or Adult and Disability Services Division. That has not been finalized. We will be coming up with a name that we feel suits our division once everybody is under the new umbrella. But the goal of the change is really to center the programming and the services that we have that serve like populations instead of organizing programs by the type of work they do, really focusing on who the customer is. So bringing together all of the different programs that we have that really focus on serving our aging and adult population and our community members with disabilities under one umbrella, so that we can ensure that the knowledge that all of the folks in those various programs have about how they're engaging with these populations, the information they're bringing from these populations, all of the needs they're identifying can come together. So we have a more holistic view of how we can best serve our aging adult and disabilities populations. So that's really the goal of bringing these programs together under one umbrella. And what that looks like is bringing together APS, Adult Protective Services, the IDDEAS Mill Levy program, our long-term care Medicaid program teams, also a team that we refer to as our complex care team that really helps serve individuals that are navigating our DHS services that might need some additional support and assistance in doing that. And also our burial assistance program. So like I said, there's a variety of types of programs that are coming together, but they're all programs that serve similar populations. And so we're really excited to align them and hopefully improve the way that we deliver to those customers. So I appreciate having a moment to share that with you all. We're really excited about it, and we'll definitely be tapping into the expertise of this council to help us inform lots of ways that we provide services. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Whitney. And that was all I had, Michelle.
Okay. I want to acknowledge Halisa has joined us. She's a voting member, and she's driving, so she's going to maybe take her 30 seconds a little bit later, but just for the count, wanted to acknowledge and thank her for being here. So unless, Michaela, there's another slide that lets Molly jump in, or if that is the next slide, then look at that. It's the next slide. Yay. Okay, Molly, guess what, sister? You're up.
Great. Hi, this is Molly Mason. So the Rocky Mountain Human Services Community Advisory Council did not meet in September, but we are going to meet in person in October. But the August update, because I missed our August meeting, I apologize for that. The August meeting, we talked, they shared information about the Mill-Levy Forum, which thank you, Kisley, for sharing in the chat. It's happening in person on October 8th and virtually on October 15th to help specifically with transition information for transition services for families and individuals who are of that transition age, which will be very useful. And the other part of the August meeting, we had a presentation from one of the Mill-Levy recipients called Gym Guys, an organization, a company, Gym Guys, which provides a mobile gym so it's the idea of like a mobile gym, but like in person, one-on-one personal training to really break down the barriers of transportation and cost for individuals in our community with IDD to be able to like help both for nutrition and also working out. So it was really great to learn about their community initiative through Gym Guy, called Gym Guys. And yeah, we had a good discussion about the use of funds and what they're offering to our community here in Denver. And that's the update. Thank you all. And Michelle, you're so wonderful because you're on both. So if I'm missing anything, please let me know.
Oh no, Rockstar, you landed all of it. That's perfect. Thank you, Molly. This is Michelle. Thank you, Molly. This is the portion where we talk about breathing in uncertainty. It's our time where we take to reflect on current affairs with deep intention, mindfully as well. It's a time for us to share but a very human sort of human-centered space. And so if there's anyone that would like to share, please do so. Realize that we understand that you are human, but we also ask that you keep it a little bit professional.
This is Jessica, and I guess I just have encouragement. Don't let the garbage pull you down, because that definitely wins even more if it pulls you down with it.
Thank you, Jessica. Is there anyone else that would like to raise their voice at this time?
This is Alicia. In these trying times today, I second that, Jessica, to let the garbage pull you down. Raising a little girl at the age of 7, my concerns are always deep within people who are not only raising children, living with IDD, but also those of us who are just raising children and what their future is going to look like. And so I do my best to try to shield her from today's turmoils. I find myself in a bit of a difficult position of where I'm going to have to start telling her. And so that is always forefront of my mind as I continue to do the work that I'm doing in all the spaces I'm in, but also to try to keep encouragement going and optimism going, because my mom is a beacon of that. I'm a kidney transplant survivor. Through the whole time, she smiled. You know, that's 13 years of just chaotic medical chaos. And she continued to smile and bring joy to people's faces. So I tried to carry that with me as well, as I try to guide my daughter in this world and when I speak to other people in the community.
This is Michelle. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Jessica. One more again, as they say in the South. Anyone else? No. Okay, so I would like to say that there are two questions in the chat. Kisley has posted one for you, Whitney, and Molly has posted one. And Alicia, if you'll just go ahead and answer. The questions are, so I'll read them for accessibility. Does moving LTC Medicaid under that umbrella also include the eligibility team? And then Molly is asking, what does DCPD stand for? And Lynn answered, because she's the Tech Fairy. Thank you, Tech Fairy. Denver Commission for People with Disabilities. And Whitley has answered, that's a good question, Kisley. There are two teams that are part of the LTC section that act as flexible eligibility teams to support LTC, long-term care, when workload requires, but also support all of our eligibility teams. Those two teams will be moving over with the LTC, long-term care teams, in this transition, but will continue to do all types of eligibility work in a flexible manner. Those, ladies and gentlemen, are tech fairies right there. So Lynn, there's your people. Thank you so much, Whitney, for clarifying that. And thank you for jumping in, Lynn, to share out. So Michaela, if you'll go on to the next slide.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here's the fun part, folks. This is why we came to the meeting today. We came to the party for this right here. We want to begin to have the talk about revising our bylaws. And so the slide says that we're going to talk about revising the bylaws, what that means to changes to the quorum, adding language to create subcommittees. And so with that, Michaela is going to now lead the party. Go ahead, Michaela.
Okay, this is Michaela. This is why I don't get invited to many parties, because when I do, it's to talk about things like bylaws. So thanks for bearing with me all. How's everyone doing? Show of hands, good, okay. Gotta stretch, wiggle a little bit. We're running a bit behind schedule, but I think we can make up for it because we have a 20-minute gap that would have been, would have held space for public comment, which we don't have. So if it's all right with all of you, if you're feeling up to it, I'll go ahead and provide an overview of the changes that Lynn and Jordan and I would like to propose for you. You can let me know if you have any questions, concerns. Michelle can help facilitate that conversation, and then we can vote on them. And then we'll go ahead and take our break. It may be a little bit later than 2 o'clock though. Can I get a thumbs up from everyone if that sounds like an okay plan? All right, we'll get going then. So as Michelle said, we're looking at revising just a few sections of the bylaws to change the number for our quorum. And quorum essentially means the minimum number of people on the advisory council that need to be present for us to hold an official meeting and conduct official business. Then we're also going to look at adding some language to the bylaws to kind of guide the creation of subcommittees. And that talks about how a subcommittee is formed, how long it would exist, the reasons it would exist for. So I can walk you through all of that now. And if anyone has any questions, or if I'm going too fast or things aren't clear, please don't hesitate to raise your hand or interrupt me. Want to make sure that everyone fully understands and feels comfortable with this. Okay. So the first change we'd like to propose to you is, again, changing the quorum. So right now, the bylaws as they stand say that to have a quorum, we just need 3 of you all voting members. That was changed a few years ago when there was a much smaller advisory council and we were having a hard time getting meetings held. So we reduced it so that we could get business done. But now I'm super excited to say that we have 11 voting members. And so Lynn and Jordan and I didn't feel like 3 was really a representative number of all of your voices. And so to make sure that we were really honoring having a majority of you there, we wanted to change the quorum. And so the proposed language is that quorum is now defined as the presence of no less than a simple majority of voting council members at a meeting. And when we talk about simple majority, we just mean whatever gets you over 50%, whatever is just a little bit more than half. And so that number can change based on how many voting members we currently have. So right now I mentioned that we have 11 voting members. So that would mean that we need 6. 6 would be our quorum number. But let's say we had a few folks that had to resign for certain reasons and that we were down to 9. That number would then go to 5. So that number can kind of fluctuate depending on how many folks are seated at one time. Does anyone have any questions on that? Yeah, Michelle.
Just for clarity, it says the presence of no less than a simple majority of voting council members at a meeting will constitute a quorum. So if there were 11 of us, but only 5 showed up to a meeting, does it mean that 3 gets the work done, or does it mean that we don't have enough people to get the work done because you said members at a meeting?
So anytime we're having a public meeting, if we have less than, if let's say only 4 of you could attend, we could not hold that meeting.
So may I suggest then, because the language actually directs a different thought, because it says voting council members at a meeting, could we redirect the language to say a simple majority of voting council members?
I think we could do that. I'll see if, I don't know, Richard, if you're available and have any thoughts on that.
The presence of yeah, I know what's being said here. I'm trying to think of
Because what Michaela said is different in spirit than what I'm looking at in print. But so which one is the one that we want? Because we'll be held accountable for what not the spirit was, but what actually is in print.
So are we wanting to say the presence of no less than a simple majority of all active voting council members? Would something like that solve the problem?
Not if we leave in the language of at a meeting, because the controversial part is at a meeting. Because technically, like I said in my example,
Yeah, you're right, Michelle. Let me see. Yeah.
If it helps, I dropped in the chat for people who need to do a little visual processing. I think I put the language in the chat, what I was hearing being suggested in the discussion here. If people need to see things written down.
So
Sorry, this is
thank you,
Lynn.
Lynn. Lynn has said in the chat, suggestion, the presence of no less than a simple majority of all active voting council members will constitute
That's
a quorum.
exactly, good job, Lynn. That's exactly what I was about to, yeah. I like that. Can anybody play lawyer here and see how somebody could weasel around that?
I don't know if I'm seeing it.
This is Tom. What do we mean by active?
Oh, I was just throwing that in there, Tom. That's probably, we could probably leave that out.
Or are we saying participating? Or
I think that might open up another avenue of problem.
What if we take out active and say the presence of no less than a simple majority of all voting council members will constitute a quorum? This is Michelle.
I like that.
I do not play an attorney on the internet, nor do I play an attorney in meetings, but if you think that will fly, I would like to ask, I think, Michaela, do we then have to have a, how do we change your draft officially? Do we, however we do that, that's what I want to do.
What I would propose is, and Lynn, thank you so much for popping that in the chat. Lynn, if you could maybe put that in again with the, and then redact the word active. So folks can review that, and then maybe we can just go ahead and take on a vote on that, this section of the bylaws, to see if folks are okay with adopting the amended language as revised during this meeting, and then we can move on to the other parts and kind of vote it in piecemeal style. Does that sound all right to everyone?
Hi, this is Lynn with a question. And maybe it's a Richard question because we have former council members. So is it implied? I'm just concerned about that this is referring to only current council members, not folks who have stepped down or been term limited.
Lynn, when they step down, do they lose their ability to vote,
I'm not the expert, but I believe so.
So then it might be, as you said in your question, it might be implied by using the word voting. But again, I do not play an attorney on the internet. So someone else who does or is, please chime in.
This is Jessica, and I just had a question. Would we announce at each meeting how many voting members we have and what number actually constitutes quorum so that people know that?
That's a great idea, Jessica. Absolutely.
And I just wanted to say, I like the change in language because, like you said, the number can change depending on how many voting members there are, and it makes it easier, I think, to maybe meet quorum and still be pretty legit.
Sounds good. And Richard, thanks so much for weighing in there and letting me put you on the spot. For those of you who haven't met Richard before, he's our city attorney that works to support the IDEAS program, and so we're so grateful to have him here. Michelle, I think if you want to take a vote on that,
yes.
As amended, Lynn put in the chat, unless there's any other need for discussion.
So I will read it in the chat so that we can ask for the motion. Lynn has put into the chat the following. The presence of no less than a simple majority of all voting council members will constitute a quorum. So if I could have a motion for that. to be amended thusly, that'd be awesome.
This is Jessica. I make a motion to approve the amended language for the quorum.
Amazing. I need a
Second
second.
that. This is Julissa. I second that.
Thank you, Elisa, for seconding that. So let us go to the chat now to vote yay or nay. Okay, and with that, we do have a simple majority. Voting on our simple majority, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we needed 5 for today. So that change passes. And this is Michelle, and I'm going to give it back to Michaela. Keep it rolling, sister. What's the next one?
All right. All right. Buckle up, everybody. This one's a long one. And there we go. Okay. So apologize for all the text on there. I won't read it word for word unless there is a request for me to do so, and then I would be happy to. But essentially, this is a new subsection added to the bylaws, and it states that you all, the council, can vote to create subcommittees to conduct more in-depth discussion or research into an area, a priority area that you all have identified, or that, so a priority that you all have identified, or that me and Jordan and Lynn have identified through the process of researching and working to implement some of your recommendations. So if we're saying, hey, you've recommended that we prioritize housing, but we want to hear more from you, like really what are the things that you want to have to make housing most accessible? Can you help us with that? That might be an example of when we would ask for a subcommittee to just get a little bit more detail and research in the process of implementing those recommendations. So some things that we would like to propose to kind of govern how subcommittees are formed and carry out their work. We would like to put in the bylaws that membership must not exceed the number of council members necessary to constitute a quorum. So that means we can't have anyone, the total number of people that are part of a subcommittee can't be more than a quorum. So right now, a quorum would be 6. So that would mean that subcommittee membership is limited to 5 or less. And the reason we want that is subcommittees will be meeting outside of public meetings. And so if we had a subcommittee that was comprised of 7 different people on the council, that would then be a public meeting. You all would be able to have quorum to make a recommendations, and then we could get into the problem where the subcommittee is conducting official business outside of a public meeting, which is what we want to avoid. We want to still maintain transparent and accountable to the public. So less than a quorum in terms of the number of council members that can be part of a subcommittee. And when to create a subcommittee, we want the council to vote on it, and not, and in addition to just voting to create a subcommittee, we'd like you all to kind of talk about what's the purpose of the subcommittee? What are we looking to do with the subcommittee? What information are you looking to generate or research you're looking to find? That's kind of goes a little bit beyond just a general topic area. So instead of a housing subcommittee, perhaps we want a housing subcommittee to help prioritize accessibility features in a potential development that IDEAS contributes funding to. And then duties kind of go along with that, like what exactly will the subcommittee be doing towards to help achieve that goal? Will they be reviewing lists of different accessibility features? Will they be kind of gathering more information from their networks about what features are important to them. How are they going to achieve that goal? And then how long will this subcommittee last? We'd like to propose that when they're initially voted in on, and that's where you see the BI, that we don't have a subcommittee that lasts for more than 6 months. If 6 months has wrapped up and the subcommittee is like, ooh, we still need more time, could go back to the council and say, hey, we need more time to complete this work. Can we have up to another 6 months? So we've got subcommittees. We want you to vote them in. We want you to be really kind of help frame up what these subcommittees are going to do, how they're going to do it, how long they're going to do it. No more than 5 right now, 5 members in a subcommittee. And then anytime you meet, the next time we have a big public open meeting like this, we'd like to the subcommittee to appoint a representative that can share out what you did at your last meeting, because so that we can still be transparent to the community about the work that you're doing and the work that you're generating. So that could be like a 5 to 10 minute, let's say Molly was leading a subcommittee or was the chosen representative for that meeting, and say, hey, we met on this date. Those of us were here. This is the work that we did. This is what we talked about. And then that can go into the public record and public minutes. And as we need to, we can kind of create a protocol that lives outside of the bylaws, but kind of helps guide our subcommittee meetings or membership. If we feel like we need any more kind of guidance or rules or regulations on that, we can work on writing something out that you all will vote to approve and kind of put into our general governance as an advisory council. That's a lot. So any questions, concerns, happy to answer those.
Michaela, this is Alicia. Just for clarification, so if the subcommittee is approved by vote and they have their meeting, would that subcommittee have to take minutes in order to submit to you, or is it just a broad summary of what they discussed?
That's a super great question, Alicia. As we have written now, minutes are not required, just to report out at the next meeting. That's where we get into kind of the last point that I talked about too, other parameters guiding subcommittees. If you all wanted to kind of further define what that report out looks like, to say, as a council, it's really important to us that each time a subcommittee meets, they generate meetings that are then submitted for public record and shared out at the next public meeting. We could do that, but it's not required currently with the language right now.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is Michelle speaking. I have one question, Michaela. We're 7 after the 2 that we said. Should we, if everyone is amenable to it, can we go ahead and vote on this one and then take the break?
We sure can. There are just a couple other revisions after this one that relate to this. So I don't think it's going to take us too long, but if folks are feeling like they really need to refresh their brains and move their bodies, I totally hear that too.
This is Michelle speaking. Could we have some feedback of whether or not we should keep going or we should take a break now after voting on this draft language subcommittee?
So Alicia, I have capacity to keep forward, but majority would have to make that decision.
Well, this is Michelle. I'm going to go with the age-old consensus. Hey, silence is consent. Let's keep pushing ahead and we'll get this done. Okay.
Okay. So I've just changed the slides. Looking at the next slide, this is revising the section on open meetings a little bit. And so that's saying that all of our meetings will be open to the public, with 2 exceptions. And how the bylaws are currently is that the only exception listed was the orientation for new council members. Now we've added on 7B, which is an exception for subcommittee meetings. On the conditions that subcommittee membership does not exceed a quorum. So subcommittees will not be able to conduct official business. And again, that summary of each subcommittee meeting is reported out to the full council at the next meeting. So that's just that section right there. And then any questions on that one? Okay. The last bit, this was the last section of the bylaws, and it talks about how we can change or amend the bylaws. And so we're suggesting at the very end of these this language to say that these bylaws will be amended as needed to conform or to abide by any or all applicable city and county regulations, ordinances, and policies. And as it is now, we're saying these bylaws will be amended as needed to conform with any rules or regulations related to human rights and community partnerships. And that is another office within the city of Denver that exists separately from Denver Human Services. And so that was how it was written back when the advisory council was first formed in 2019. I'm not quite sure why they referenced human rights and community partnerships. My best guess is that because we are kind of trying to mirror the governing structure of the commissions. And so we just wanted to broaden the language a little bit, because if those rules or regs are still with human rights and community partnerships are still applicable to us, we would still need to amend to conform to them. But let's say Denver Human Services or another city body implemented a new regulation or policy where we would then need to change our bylaws to be compliant with those, we would still need to and be able to do those to make those changes. So that's just kind of a little procedural change, not too much substantive there. Any questions on that? And then that is it. That's the last proposed change for y'all.
Well, again, silence is consent. So let's go ahead and ask someone to make a motion to accept all these amended language draft amendments to our bylaws.
And just for clarity, Michelle, this is Michaela again. You're asking for a motion to vote the amended language in as written for subsection 5, subcommittees, subsection 7 on open meetings, and the last section of the bylaws on amendments.
That is correct.
Without any revisions.
Without any revisions that we didn't already revise. Yes.
This is Jessica, and I make a motion to approve the amended language.
Perfect. I need a second.
This is Alicia. I will second.
Amen. So now let's go to the chat. Vote yay or nay, please. Well, the yays have it at 6. Let me just recount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hallelujah, we're done and we are at break. Amen. Okay, so this is Michelle speaking. Michaela, I think you can start the break clock. So with that
Okay,
being said, 5 minutes from now is 2:18.
that sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, for powering through. You're all
Whoop,
rock stars. See you back here in 5 minutes at 2:18. Jessica, this is Michaela. I see your puppy. So sweet. Tom just walked into my office. I was just telling Jessica her puppy popped into the camera and I was telling her how sweet he is. I'll be right there, Jessica.
Well, it is that time, folks. It's 2:18, so this train is about to leave the station again. We're gonna make our way to the end. So, Michaela, like to go on to the next slide and let's make it do what it do.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone. This is Michaela speaking. Hope you had a great break. Um, so for the remainder of the meeting, save about 10-15 minutes to plan for our next couple meetings. I'd just like to hold some space for you all to finish conversation from our meeting in August. And we had several amazing guest speakers, including our own Adriana, talking about their personal and professional experiences with services, both good and bad, for folks living in Denver who speak Spanish and are also members of the IDD community. We heard from, we had quite a few guest presentations. I received feedback from all of you that I really appreciate, that it was a lot of content to listen to and digest at once, a little bit too much content. Completely valid feedback. Thanks for sharing that. So we're always trying to incorporate your feedback and make these meetings better and more meaningful. And so that's one of the reasons I just wanted to take a little bit of a space in this meeting to take a breath and really give you all the opportunity to have meaningful conversation about that. If there are any folks that would like to propose making a recommendation to the council that you would then vote on, and that we would then kind of record among our official recommendations and look into and present to our executive director, you can do that. I also worked with Lynn and Jordan to draft a few suggested recommendations on this topic for you all that you may want to vote on based on some of the presentations that we had, some of your feedback related to those presentations, some direction for the three of us to work on and looking at how we might leverage these funds to better address these gaps. Before I share that language with you, though, I want to make sure that we're kind of creating, I'm giving you all a blank canvas and not steering conversation one way or another. So if it's all right with you all, and Michelle, I'll let you lead that conversation. I was just thinking about providing maybe about up to 15 minutes or so for you all to kind of say, hey, like this, this presentation by this person was really interesting. That really resonated with my experiences, or I'd like to talk more about this. Anything kind of on that general topic that we addressed in August about supporting Spanish speaking individuals and families with IDD or developmental delay. So with that, I'll hand it back over to you, Michelle, and the council.
Let me see if I can see any raised hands.
I raise my hand, mi amiga.
Okay, Elisa.
Yes,
Please.
great presentations, guys. And before I go with my spiel, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone is doing well. We have to survive and thrive, mis amigos, because that's all what we have now. And like Jessica was saying, I don't focus on the trash. So, and I don't know if she say that, but I just added to it. I don't know. But anyways, great presentations, but I felt that many organizations were just explaining the work that they do with our community, but I have never seen them I have not seen their work with for people with disabilities. Am I saying that right, Michelle? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I just don't want to offend anyone. So, for example, Servicios de la Raza, Clínica Tepeyac, I was like shocked, and I'm a Latina myself, and I know exactly the services that they provide, and I know that they were sharing what they do overall, But you know, a lot of the times we have to be extremely careful that when people want to just get some funding, they will throw out there whatever they need to say just to get the money. But then at the end of the day, our communities suffer and struggle. So that was just my point of view. That's just what I saw through those presentations. Great presentations, though, but I was not very convinced.
So this is Michelle. Halisa, thank you so much for that valuable feedback. And I think perhaps is there someone else that also would like to chime in with what Halisa shared as feedback? Let me just check. I do see you, Michaela. Let me just go through. Okay, this is Michelle. Okay, Michaela, go ahead. Oh, Michaela, if you are speaking.
Muted.
Yep.
Sorry about that, folks. I should have, I think I wanted to add to when I was kind of setting up this conversation. We did hear from lots of different individual service providers. And I know that everyone has different personal experience with service providers. Some may be good, some may be bad. What I think is most beneficial to hear of us from you is kind of just speaking in general terms, regardless of which organization or entity is providing the service. What are the needs out there that aren't being filled? What would you like to see more of in terms of kind of topic or subject matter? So if there's, I think I'm remembering back to our other conversation, there's some conversation, well, we need more disability competent Spanish speaking service providers. That's what I'm seeing from my professional experience, from my lived experience. Definitely all comments are valid and helpful feedback, and I think that would be really valuable to us to hear kind of in terms of the topic or the content rather than the individual organization, what you'd like to see that you aren't seeing already, or where you think that we could possibly utilize our funds and our network to help meet these gaps.
Thank you, Michaela. This is Michelle speaking. I'd like to reframe or restate something for you, Halisa. Please let me see if I've gotten this correct.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what organization comes to us, what the organization's background is. I think what I am hearing and what I have read as feedback is that whatever organization is coming to us, they need to lead first with how they're serving our community, not what their work is. And so I'd like to see that whenever we ask people, organizations to speak to us, I think I want the meat and the potatoes of what they're serving me to be how they're serving our community, not the smorgasbord of work that they do. Because I am actually not hungry for the smorgasbord. I'm hungry to learn what it is and how it is specifically their organization is serving our IDD community.
Yes, Michelle, that's what I was trying to say. If it came across that I was just pointing out specific organizations, no, I was just trying to say exactly what you just said. Give me the special meal that we need. I know that everyone serves everyone, and these are organizations that they have great reputations, but they don't have that reputation when it comes to people with disabilities. And if I had a kid with disability, I will want to go with the best, with the experts, with those that understand my world. And I don't see that in those organizations.
They did lead with that. So I do believe I see Jessica, and then I believe I saw Michaela. So this is Michelle. Go ahead, Jessica.
I was just wondering if maybe some of the issue is they need more training on how to work with our community better, because how can they do something that they don't honestly know how to do or have much experience with? So is there maybe like ways we could fund something like that.
Thank you, Jessica. I would imagine Michaela's probably taking notes. And I'm not sure, Michaela, you're next, and Alicia, I'm not sure if you had your hand up, but if you did, please, after Michaela, share with us. Michaela?
And I won't take long. And Michelle, thank you for kind of responding to my initial comment. I think what I was communicating and what I'm hearing from you and Lisa are a little bit different, and that's totally okay. I think what I was saying for the purposes of this conversation to help us, instead of saying what you have or have not received from any one organization, kind of tell us what it is that you need from in general. I wanted to go back to your feedback, Michelle, that when you hear from different organizations, you don't want to hear an overview of what they do in general, but how it relates specifically to the IDD community, which is really great feedback for me. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone notes that that was not that all of our guest presenters were presenting based on kind of instructions that I had provided them to give just a general overview of what their organization does. So that was not them being insensitive to this group or not having, necessarily knowledge or expertise. It was me saying, hi, I don't know if a lot of the, if everyone in our council is familiar with your work, so we can just set a level playing field and make sure everyone is available. It might be good for them to all have a little bit of context on what you do. And I think what I'm hearing from feedback too is there were so many organizations that we weren't really able to get beyond that initial, hi, this is my organization, this is what my organization does, to really drill down into what the benefit or relevance to the IDD community is. So that is very valuable feedback to me. Specifically, Servicios de la Raza, they were really transparent when they talked to me, is they don't have any program currently that's specific to the IDD community, but they offer inclusive services to the Latino Hispanic community historically. And so I thought that their perspective would be interesting for this conversation. So I just wanted to make sure that that was all communicated to you, because I think these organizations are really committed to that point of intersection and may just not have had an opportunity to really go into as much depth or detail on that as we would have liked.
This is Michelle. Thank you, Michaela, for giving us the frame in which you asked them to present. And I think we can just share out that the frame that is most comfortable for us is the framework of tell me how you're serving us first, and make that the most of what you are sharing with us, because I don't know that I have the concern for the other things, but I know for sure I have the concern for how you're serving the IDD community, because literally that's in our name. So if that's feedback, I want to make sure I do this correctly. Alicia, I don't see that you have your hand up. Is it okay to confirm that you don't have a comment, because I do see that Adriana does, and we would need to make that change.
I do not have a comment, so Adriana can go ahead and speak.
Okay, and Adriana, before you go ahead, Michaela, please remind us what we need to do.
Okay, so toggle down to your screen, bottom of your screen, hit the little button that says more, go into interpretation, and change your listen in channel to Spanish.
Let it rip, Adriana.
Sí, pienso que es importante tomar en cuenta esos comentarios y estos puntos acerca de pues sí, de las organizaciones, porque una cosa es ser inclusivo y otra cosa es realmente es, a decir que la organización se dedica a eso, a apoyar y a guiar a la comunidad de IDD. Y
I cannot hear anything. Is there cutting
el
off?
mundo de IDD es muy amplio, hay mucha información y realmente los interesados sabemos muy poco de esa información porque simplemente, o sea, a mí me gustaría ver que las organizaciones que dicen dedicarse a eso, que realmente se sumerjan en ese mundo y se empapen de la información para que así realmente puedan apoyarnos. O sea, si están dedicadas a eso, que esa información sea seguida y sea consecutiva, no nada más de vez en cuando una información esporádica o de un evento al año. No, de eso no se trata de eso. Entonces, yo pienso que realmente sí es importante, o sea, si ustedes están dando un recurso, pues en realmente ver los resultados de en qué se está empleando o cómo, o sea, es como seguir un plan, no nada más, no nada más o sea, sí acudió la gente, pero ¿qué hiciste? ¿Cómo, o sea, cómo la apoyaste? ¿Cómo, desde el principio, cómo difundiste la información para que llegara en forma masiva a la comunidad interesada? Sí, ese es mi punto de vista porque lo he visto, o sea, organizaciones se dice que las hay, pero que realmente estén funcionando como tal, es lo que es necesario que sea, que sea coherente y sea claro. Hablando específicamente de, de la comunidad hispanohablante, hay pocas organizaciones dedicadas a educar a nosotros, este tipo de comunidad, y las pocas que hay, pues nos dejan mucho a medias. Sí, eso es todo, gracias.
Thank you so much, Adriana. I think we can all go ahead and go back into English now, if that's the language you're listening in. If you're back in English and can hear me, but are no longer able to hear Yami, give me a thumbs up. Seth, are you good? Can you hear me? Okay, great. Jessica, are you able to hear me? Okay, perfect. It looks like Michelle had to step away. So what I can do is kind of pop over. I did see Julisa's hand raised. Julissa, was there a comment that you wanted to make?
No, just Micaela, that I agree with Adriana. It's very few organizations that focus on the IDD community, and the ones that they focus on the IDD community are not per se well trained in the way that they don't provide the help that the families need all the way through. Like she says, only halfway. What did that means exactly? I know that you want us to explain to you what are we looking for. What I'm looking for is an organization they can talk to us about their services to the Latino community with the political challenges that we're facing right now. For example, how mixed status families are getting the assistance for the IDD community or for their family member, how they're helping mixed status families, how immigration plays a role. Because right now our focus is not housing. Our focus, it's more survival, not being deported. Because right now, because of the political climate, we are all at risk. Not only people with IDD, the families with IDD members. No, all of us fit that profile. So we're all very concerned about being deported, not housing, not putting food at the table right now. We're trying to survive and stay away from society so we don't attract attention. But what that means is that those kids, those adults are not receiving the care that they deserve because they're afraid to go look for services, and they're afraid to even apply for Medicaid, you know? So I would love to hear, for example, what Grupo Vida does exactly, because I just don't know. How do they help those families with those challenges? Um, Maybe another organization that I don't know that help Latino families. And that's what I'm looking for. Not the overall care that they provide to Latinos and that they're cultural relevant, cultural equitable. That's good for me. But what I'm looking for is those organizations um that they really focus, that they have a focus. And I'm not saying that those organizations need to be Latino. No, it can be an executive director who's an Anglo, but has a team of Spanish speakers like Angels of Care. I really admire those guys. You know, I see their Latino team going full force, right? That's my own opinion. So organizations like that, Micaela. But with that focus, tell us, how is it that you're working with Latino families? And that I ask a question and they can answer my questions when it comes to mixed status families.
Thank you, Julissa.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Kisley.
Hi, I just wanted to offer to Julissa, since El Grupo Vida is one of our Mill Levy Community Initiative. I'm happy to talk more about our partnership with El Grupo Vida, but I didn't know if this was the correct space for that. So I just wanted to make that offer and pause.
Thank you, Kisley. Maybe next time, I don't know, when we get a chance, you can talk about your partnership and how you guys work together.
Happy to do that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Jordan?
Thanks, Michaela. I was just wondering if maybe it'd be helpful to kind of frame our minds of how best we could use our funds to support this community. Because of course, there's tons of organizations out there and we can't find them all and we can't meet them all, but we do have funds available to say, hey, this is a need that we're seeing and we want to put these dollars out the door so that any organization can come and apply to those funds. But we just don't know what that need is. And so for me, I think it'd be helpful to kind of let us know, what are those needs? What are those gaps? And then we can take those and take those from there and try to identify a good path forward.
I can help you, Jordan, put an RFA together, with all the needs kind of like, and then you can copy and paste and do, put out there whatever is, but I can tell you the needs, and I can help you with that. And what we need is also those navigators that they understand exactly what the program looks like and where these people can go to. Maybe some immigration lawyers that we can contract with, that they can advise to this community. So I will be more than happy to put in bullet points what we're looking for, Jordan, and then we can put an RFA out there to the universe and call it to the universe.
Thank you so much, Jordan and Halisa. And just to, if any of you are kind of sweating bullets wondering what an RFA is, or do I need to write one? An RFA is a request for applications. And we know that you all have very demanding schedules and don't need to worry about putting any sort of like formal solicitations together or helping us write those. We have that down as a team, but as Jordan said, and kind of Halisa, as you touched on, if you could tell us the things that would be meaningful to you in your communities, like, looking at assisting families with mixed documentation status. What are those needs? What are the things that are, you said that there's some services that you get from organizations that get you halfway. Well, what is the other half? If you can tell us what those are, and like Jordan said, if there isn't an organization out there that already does it, we can help infuse funds or inject funds into organizations that exist to help build that. So just wanted to kind of share that and to tell you all that you don't need to worry about doing anything other than that. Once you tell us what topic to look into and what the main needs are, we can work and take it from there. Alicia, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Lisa, what I want to do, so far as the immigration law piece that can actually help with the IDD, is give you a few contacts, because the human rights side of things of the city, there is a Latin commission that works. Excuse me, a refugee and immigrant commission that works hand in hand with immigration as well as the Latin Commission. And so away from here, I would like to get your contact information if possible so that I can give you those resources to at least on the legal side of things. And then whatever we can come up with as a council in this setting, maybe they will be able to help collaborate with you and El Grupo Vida to get the answers and services that you.
Yeah, and that's a beginning, Alicia. I'm very familiar with that commission, and like every organization who's bureaucratic, it's almost impossible to get hold of them. So I will be more than happy to talk to them and discuss with them. But I'm looking in my wish list. It's something like people can call in their own language in Espanol instead of being put into a translator service, and they can speak. For example, if they call me, they can talk to me about the issues, what the problems they're going through, and then me referring them to, and I'm just giving an example, guys, because I'm not gonna do this work, right? I have a whole lot in my plate, but it's just an example of what I'm envisioning, a live voice that can help them navigate the system. Okay, we refer them to Grupo Vida, then that person need to be calling, Grupo Vida and say, okay, where did this family go to? Because when we are referring to other organizations or any commissions, our families get lost. They give up. It's a whole, it's very extremely bureaucratic. And if it's difficult for us to access those systems, imagine for those families. Those families have already the challenge of the language, the status, having someone with IDD, at home, and you guys know how stressful all that can be. So, but I really appreciate your suggestion, Alicia, and I will take it, and maybe I will reach out to them again and see where we can take it from here.
Thank you all so much for that discussion. And I am keeping an eye on the time. I know we need to reserve some time to talk about our upcoming meetings. So I wanted to just kind of take a step back real quick and talk about what we would be looking at in recommendations. And again, that's kind of to identify what is kind of priority areas for us, to Jordan's point, to how we can leverage these funds, how we can use these funds to fill gaps. And so looking at time too, I wanted to at least spend a little bit of time presenting these as potential recommendations that we wrote, kind of considering the thoughts and the feedback that we've heard from you all to date. Two recommendations for you all to consider. And, if you'd like to, you can vote on them now, or else we can leave that from another time. But some of what we had come up with, the first one would be to ensure Denver residents can access IDEAS mill levy funds regardless of documentation status and/or preferred language, and make funds available through IDEAS contracted partners to fill gaps in services for residents with IDD who did not qualify for Medicaid. And so really what that would, say to us, and, if you want to vote on this to confirm that this is something that's important to the council, is that you would like people in Denver, regardless of their documentation status, to be able to access IDEAS funds through our contracted partners. So this is how our eligibility is set up currently. We don't provide any sorts of barriers in our contracts that would prevent someone that is not undocumented from receiving our service. And so what we're asking for you is that something that you want us to continue to do, to make those available to everyone regardless of documentation status, and also to make sure that language is not a barrier. So if you speak any language other than English, that you can still access these services. And we know that it's not perfect currently, but that would be something that you would be signaling to us as important to you, and that we should continue to work to strive for. And that for those individuals who can't access Medicaid because of documentation status or otherwise, that we're using IDEAS funds to help fill in those gaps for those folks so that they can get those really critical services to be able to live in the community that they don't qualify for Medicaid. So that would be the first one. And then the second one would be to explore ways to increase awareness of and access to IDD and early intervention services to individuals and families who speak languages other than English. And so that is kind of hearing the feedback about, organizations, or, these communities need to be hearing regularly from organizations that are serving them what they're doing and how they can benefit from that. So how could we leverage our funds to help increase that awareness and access to folks that don't speak English? And then I see that Adriana has put something in the chat. And so if folks want to go over to Spanish, I'll ask Yamila if she can translate that for us. So go ahead and toggle over to Spanish. Thank you. We can go ahead and toggle back to English now. I know that Michelle had to step away. Is there any member of the council that would like to consider making a vote on those, or would you like to maybe hold this until a later meeting?
I move that we vote on this. This is very important. This is Alicia. Michaela, it's as if you read my mind because from the last conversation we had with the group of Vita via email, I thought that it would be necessary and wanted to ask the question if funds could be available to those who are in need, regardless of status.
And Alicia, were you referencing both the recommendations or just the top one?
Both recommendations.
This is Jessica and I second.
Okay. So would folks like to vote to adopt both of these recommendations as written? Okay. Thanks for voting in the chat. Let's see, we currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is there 8 council members present currently? Am I counting correctly? So that would be, we have 6, so that would be a simple majority. Wonderful. Well, we will add that to our list of recommendations so that we can start working on that. Thank you all so much. I'll go ahead and shift us to the last part of our meeting. We don't have public comment, so I'm just keeping going with our slides, which is our next meeting will be Tuesday, October 28th from 1 to 3. We would like to have that offer a hybrid meeting so that folks can join virtually, or if you all like to, for those of you who are able to come in person and would like to meet in person, we're able to do so. What I'd love to get a vote on from you all now, not a formal vote, but just maybe a show of hands, where you'd like to hold it. So the 2 possible locations, we'd like to hold it at a Denver Human Services office. So we work here out of the Castro building, which is on 12th and Federal on the west side. But we also have conference rooms that we can use at our east office, which is at 38th and Steel. For those of you who just joined our council, that was where your orientation was at. And we want to make sure that whatever location we have is most convenient to you all. So can I get a quick show of hands? Who would prefer to have it at Castro at 12th and Federal on the west side? No hands
Yo
raised.
estaría, yo estaría de forma híbrida, Adriana. Yo estaría de forma híbrida, o sea, virtual. Ajá.
Yamila, would you be able to translate that for us real quick? I'm going to switch over to Spanish. Okay. Gotcha. So Yamila said that Adriana will be joining virtually. Who would prefer East?
Michaela, we also have some people who are responding in the chat. So
Okay.
we got both hands up.
Okay.
Uh,
Alicia, you put yes. Which one was that for?
That was for federal, but it looks like if we can do east, it doesn't really matter, east or west for me, but I heard 12th and federal, so I was like, that might work.
Okay. So it looks like we're
and
split 50-50. We got one vote for East and one for federal.
Alexa has a vote, and also I'm not really sure which one that's for. So yeah, Seth has a hand.
We could just go to east. That's fine. This is Alicia. I'm good.
So Alexa was voting for Castro. Seth, what was your hand up for? Oh, either.
For East. I had voted for East.
Okay, we've got some virtuals.
Okay. Okay.
I think we had 2 Castro, 1 East, and then at least 2 virtual.
Okay. Okay. It's pretty evenly divided. I think maybe one more vote for Castro. So we'll plan to do it at Castro. It's a little bit of an older building, but we like it. We call it home when we welcome to host you all here. So we'll be sending out information on that. And again, we can always help with transportation. We can, if that's something that is a need for you all, please reach out. Jessica, we got you. We'll be hearing from Autism Community Store. They'll be presenting on to wrap up their final contract. And then I lost my screen. So I can't see what else was on my slide. Michelle, can you help me out, please?
So I'm jumping back in, but I want to make sure after you mention the Autism Community Store doing their wrap up, the other thing we were going to talk about is actually nailing down whether the subcommittee is going to be. So for example, maybe we'll have a subcommittee on housing, a subcommittee on immigration, a subcommittee on transportation. But at this point, that was one of our other topics to discuss what were going to be the subcommittees.
Yep, that sounds good. And thank you so much for reminding me of that. And then also wanted to let you all know, and I'm sorry, I stopped screen sharing because I had some technical difficulties. Due to the holiday week of Thanksgiving, that's when our November meeting landed on that week, and we know most people aren't going to be available. So that has now been rescheduled to December 9th, virtual from 1 to 3. If folks are unable to attend, please let me know. I know we're changing that up on you all, and you may have something already scheduled. If that's the case, let me know just so I can ensure that we have quorum. And you can all do that just by sending me a text or an email, as I know we are right at 3. Any last burning thoughts or questions before we close? I know it's been a full meeting.
I just have a comment. Thank you so much to everyone for your time, your attention, your energy, your everything that you're doing. This is a busy world, and it is very nice to see everyone and that everyone can get centered on this work. So like I said, I don't know why you people chose me, but I am so honored to be here. And I'm so glad to see everyone show up every time, all the time.
Thank you so much, Michelle. What a beautiful note to end on. I second.
So with that, the party has, the train has come into the station, and that means it is time to get off. So I need a motion to end this ride, please.
Motion to end our meeting at 3:01 p.m.
And someone can second that motion, please.
This is Alexa. I second.
Oh, perfect. Then if we can put in the chat that we are ready to go with a yay or a nay. And listen, if you put nay in this chat, I'm telling you, you're going to be outruled. I didn't even count them, but I didn't see a nay, so I think we're done. Thank you so much to everyone, and happy Tuesday.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Adios.
Adios.